Hello, my name is Jason, and welcome to my episode recap for episode 10 and 11 of Myriad Colors Phantom World. Those episodes are titled Little Ruru's Big Dream and Tiny Haruhiko-kun. And so in these two episodes, we finally get some new characters, well, kind of new characters in a sense of finally getting a episode centered around these characters. Ruru finally gets her own episode, and Haruhiko kind of gets his own episode as well, and his abandonment issues in some sort of ways. You know, he grew up alone by himself. You don't really see his parents around. His dad's busy working all the time all over the world, and his mother left him for whatever circumstances. Not really sure what those circumstances are, but we know that Haruhiko, ever since middle school, has always been alone. He even really wrote an essay saying how much fun he had with his parents, even though that wasn't exactly true. For Ruru, her dream was to actually be on the same standing, literally, with her friends, with Haruhiko, Mai, and the others, you know, wanting to be human-sized for a day. And so she gets to live that dream, but also her tiny ability comes to the rescue at the end of the day. A little melodramatic at the end of that episode, but still pretty cool episodes either way, seeing these characters get their own individual episodes compared to the other girls who had their own episodes as well. In episode 10, Little Ruru's Big Dream, the way she becomes bigger is through his Phantom Witch. Of course, she's very attractive, as most of these characters are in this anime, and so obviously in other anime as well. And so this Phantom Witch, she goes around granting wishes for other phantoms. Ruru's wish was to become human-sized, and luckily through this pendant, I guess, you know, she wasn't really able to be figured out as Ruru. If she was, then she would return back to her normal size. Koito, normally the one who is able to detect phantoms right away, has a very keen sense of that, isn't able to deduce that it is Ruru, because of her sobby backstory of her parents, you know, not really being there for her. She like died in a car accident or whatever. She made this sob story, and even Koito was thwarted by that as well. So pretty funny scene there. She goes around as a different character, as Natsuno-san. She has black hair, and she kind of looks like Ruru in some sort of ways, but you could kind of tell that she isn't in some sort of ways as well. And so Natsuno-san is able to go to the festival to see the fireworks. She's able to eat foods in a normal size serving, or rather they're regular size. Before, as a little the tiny phantom, she couldn't really finish drink, she couldn't really finish food, and that was her big desire there. And also her sort of clash with Haruhiko in the beginning of the episode kind of hurt her as well, when she had stepped on by Haruhiko trying to rush through class. And so Natsuno-san is able to, you know, live out her dreams, you know, big dreams, as the episode is titled, you know, playing tennis and doing all these other extracurricular activities that normally Ruru could not actually do. And so obviously Ruru, she only knows these guys at the Phantom Hunting Club, and so she's able to hang out with them. Haruhiko is in charge of, you know, sort of taking her on a tour and making sure she's comfortable in the high school environment, as, you know, she is a new student, a new transfer student. They do see the fireworks, and Haruhiko kind of opens up a little bit about Ruru, saying that he is happy to, you know, be away from her for a little while, her be annoying and such there. Natsuno-san is taken care of by Haruhiko as well. And so at the end of the episode, a rocket phantom is able to live out his dream through the Phantom Witch. However, it's really not a good thing. He's terrorizing the people of the festival, and so the others have to find a way to stop him. They can't, because if Reina tries to suck him in, it's gonna be bad for her stomach. Can't use fire with fire. Mai can't fly. Alberts can't fly as well, and so Haruhiko is captured, and so Ruru has to return back to her size in order to fly and save Haruhiko. The melodramaticness at the end wasn't really necessary for me anyway, because I wasn't really thinking she's going to die. Pretty cute though, with the explosion of Ruru's face in the sort of sky there. And so Haruhiko, obviously, you know, being one of his closest friends, you know, Ruru, I guess they know each other since middle school. That's what we deduced from the 12th episode, the 11th episode, I'm sorry. But still, Ruru, she does come out with a few scratches at the end through the explosion of the rocket phantom. So I didn't really like those melodramatic at the end, but still pretty fun episode, seeing Ruru living out a different life and sort of being human-sized for a day. In episode 11, we have Tiny Haruhiko-kun, where Haruhiko, he is expressing his desires of wanting a family life. He never really got that life in middle school. And so I guess after reading his essay, his desires, very similar to Kurumi's desires, they turn into reality, except for this time we don't go to a fantasy bear world, we go into the real world where Haruhiko transforms back into his middle school self. He doesn't really remember anything from his high school life, only remembers things from his middle school days and around there as well. So Kurumi helps him out a little bit, then she deduces that it's actually Haruhiko-kun, and so Haruhiko, not remembering anything, he kind of just goes around and becomes his old self because he didn't really remember anything from his high school life. He's forced to go to high school. All the high school girls love him because he's so polite. He is the same Haruhiko as we know before, just a little bit more dramatic in some sort of ways. He is still the intellectual type, the nerd, as everyone calls him, a teacher's pet, as Mai calls him. And so obviously he's still just a kid. He can't take care of himself. And so Mai is forced to take care of him because I guess by default, since he's the oldest and all of the Himeno senseis are always sort of gone and doing other stuff, Mai is supposed to take care of him. I guess it's been a while since he does go become this size because Mai has to take up a job. She's in trouble financially as well, apparently, as well, going around hunting phantoms and also working a day job in a restaurant as well, trying to take care of little Haruhiko, becoming a mother towards him, like an older sister or some sort of ways, very parental figure that Haruhiko never had. And so they do play at the park, they have their fun until a sand phantom does come in. He's tired of being pissed on by cats, and so he tries to take out his frustrations on everyone. Mai, being exhausted, isn't able to sort of fight against the Phantom. I'm assuming that's the reason why, because we don't really get any explanation of why Mai can't use her powers. I don't know if that's going to come up later on, whether her powers are fading, but I'm assuming it's because the exhaustion of trying to take care of Haruhiko and all the other stuff there. Haruhiko, with his tiny self, is wanting to take care of Mai because of all the things that she did for him and taking care of him, being nice to him, and giving him the parental figure they never had as a kid. He desires now become wanting to be bigger in order to save Mai. He becomes back to his high school self, saves Mai at the end, and all things all sort of tied up in a bow in some sort of ways. Haruhiko doesn't really remember anything that happened except for Mai remembering all the stuff that Haruhiko said, wanting to stay at Mai's place because, obviously she's the parental figure that he never had. And as Mai has her own backstory as well, where she doesn't really remember anything much from her own parents and her own personal life as well. And these were two really good episodes. I really like seeing these characters get their own episodes finally. Ruru getting her own episode, Haruhiko getting his own episode as well, seeing his backstory a little bit, and his troubled childhood that he did have, making up a fake essay saying that he had fun with his parents, going around the park, and all that stuff, nothing that he actually had. Mai has her own backstory as well for her own parents. We don't really know what that is. She was very hesitant to say how much she remembered of her parents before. Koito even just, gave a direct response saying that she doesn't remember at all. Not sure if that's actually what is true or not, because she does live on her own as well, and so is Mai and Haruhiko. And so these three characters do live on their own. Koito isn't really the one to sort of give out her own feelings as well, and so Mai, being the main character here, sort of just having her own mysterious backstory, but also going through Haruhiko's backstory as well. So pretty interesting stuff there. And so for rating for both these episodes, I'm giving them both of them a 7 out of 10. Pretty fun episodes here. Definitely a lot of questions to be asked on Mai's backstory, and we'll probably never get that until us read the light novels or manga or whatnot there. If this gets a season 2, I doubt it. I don't think this will garner a season 2. I'm not sure how much popular this show actually is, but still pretty fun stuff either way. Seeing Haruhiko being a little kid, being all embarrassed, and Mai, obviously the ship between Mai and Haruhiko is probably not the one that the fans imagined. This is a very different sort of way the ship is coming alive between Mai and Haruhiko in different sort of ways. So I thought that was pretty interesting there as well. But still, final episode coming up in episode 12. I believe it's the 12th episode anime here for this season for Myriad Colors Phantom World, and so pretty interesting to see how this episode, how the series will end in this final episode coming up. And so put your thoughts on this episode in the comment section down below. Also rate, subscribe, and share my videos. Really helps me out. I really appreciate all of that. Thank you for watching episode recap for episode 10 and 11 of Myriad Colors Phantom World. Those episodes are titled Little Ruru's Big Dream and Tiny Haruhiko-kun. Hope you guys have a nice day. Bye bye.